I thought about it, the more we figured it would probably be beneficial. I know there's some other new people that have come on in the last year or so, and things have been kind of crazy with COVID. So we just thought it was a good opportunity to open it up. And I want to thank Ryan Anderson, who's with us from Langeman Brown, and he's going to be jumping in a few minutes to give you the real meat of the presentation. But I wanted to start things off just with some kind of reminders and housekeeping. My name is Maura Almatanani. I'm the interim executive director for the ONCC. I've actually worked with the organization for many years, but recently stepped into this role. And again, I just want to thank everyone for being here. I'm really happy we had such a nice response to the invitation. So thanks for joining us. Okay, just real quick, the mission of the ONCC is the O'Hare Noise Compatibility Commission will assist in developing meaningful methods to reduce aircraft noise in neighborhoods surrounding O'Hare International Airport through home and school sound insulation, and to reduce wherever possible, aircraft noise at its source. So we recently sent out a mailing. You may or may not have seen it. It went to the mayor or superintendent or county board president of your organization. The strength of the ONCC lies in the active participation of members. If we are not getting a good attendance at the general meetings, that means we don't have a quorum and cannot vote on important matters. So it's very important that everyone participates. Please make sure that your organization's information and contact information is up to date. And I'm going to send out a document with all these links, so don't worry about recording them at this time, but you can submit changes at the website or you can email us. And we had a good response when we sent out our mailing. We did respond to that. Just a real quick overview, and Ryan may also cover this in his presentation, but the intergovernmental agreement, which each of your entities signed and passed. The O'Hare Commission area includes municipalities, counties, Chicago wards, and public school districts with an interest in O'Hare-related noise issues. And a principal purpose of this agreement is to provide a forum for those municipalities, counties, Chicago wards, and public school districts to work together with the city on a cooperative basis in addressing these issues. The bylaws, just to, again, I'm just kind of giving a quick overview of the logistics of everything. The chief executive officer of each member entity shall serve as the designee to the commission. In the case of school district members, the school superintendent shall serve as the designee to the commission. The designee may appoint one or more alternates. Alternates may act on the members or city's behalf in the same manner as the designee whenever the designee is not in attendance or in the event of a vacancy. City of Chicago ward designees will be appointed by the mayor of the city of Chicago based on the language in the IGA, the Intergovernmental Agreement. One thing I do want to point out here, occasionally we'll get someone at a meeting who is not a formal alternate, and technically they may not sit at the table and may not vote. So if you're planning on sending someone as an alternate to a regular meeting, please make sure that we have them in our records as an alternate. Okay, we've a kind of relatively recent change to the intergovernmental agreement is the attendance policy. And please note that if a member, like the entity, misses 3 consecutive meetings, it will result in a temporary suspension from the commission and they will be unable to vote. This is available for appeal. So, and we have worked with a few members recently who have run into this situation. So please be aware that the members who, how do I put this? The members who have missed 3 consecutive meetings did recently receive notice that some of them, to try to resolve the situation, but we just want to enforce the fact that attendance is very important. Another confusing aspect, the attendance policy applies to the general meetings only. Members are not required to attend committee meetings unless they are a member of the committee, and the committee attendance does not count toward the suspension policy or the overall attendance. So the main thing to remember is those the regular ONCC meetings are the ones you need to be at. Not that you don't need to be at committee meetings if you're a member of the committee, but please, try to make those ONCC regular meetings. Just for your information, the ONCC committees include residential, fly quiet, technical. We just formed an ad hoc daytime noise subcommittee, a subcommittee of the technical committee. There's an ad hoc budget committee and ad hoc nominating committee that both meet as needed. Ad hoc. I will send this out, but just to give you a quick snapshot, these are the general meetings we meet monthly, but we have some meetings off, some months off. So just to kind of give you an overview, and we're currently trying to figure out the logistics with COVID and the mask mandate being lifted and meeting back in person. So we're still trying to figure out what the Open Meetings Act provisions will be, but for now we're planning on continuing to meet virtually through March, and we'll let you know as soon as we have information beyond that. We don't have a general meeting in April. We are hopeful that our May regular meeting, which is our annual meeting, will be held in person, and we'll definitely keep you posted as to those details. And I know Ryan will probably touch on this too, but just wanted to make you aware of our website, which is o'harenoise.org. Meeting links, agendas, notices are emailed out in advance of each meeting and are posted on the website. And we're also on Facebook if you'd like to follow us there. But the website really is a great resource. We've got a ton of information up there, reports, maps, like I said, the meeting notices, the links will be posted there. So it's a great can everyone please mute themselves if you're not muted? Okay. We did send out a mailing along with that membership mailing with the ethics form. All members and alternates are required to submit an ethics statement. I will include this link with the packet I send out to everyone. You can fill it out online and submit it online. So it's easy to do, but it is a requirement of the bylaws that anyone who is representing a member, please complete and submit that form to us. And then also we do have a member outreach survey that we're currently conducting, just trying to figure out what types of information the members are interested in and how they would like to receive that information, different communication tools and methods. So again, I'll include that link with the information I send out, and we're very interested in hearing back from you on how we can best provide you information that you can communicate to your constituents. Here's our email and phone number. Again, if anyone ever has questions or concerns or they need information, please don't hesitate to reach out, and myself, Ryan, and the CDA staff will do our best to assist you. That is all I have for now. I'd like to introduce Ryan if he is ready. Ryan Anderson is with Langeman Brown. They're the consultants for the city of Chicago, and they work very closely with the commission. He's probably a familiar face to most of you, but I want to thank him. He's going to give us an overview, history, some of the more technical aspects. And Ryan, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you, Maura. First I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Ryan Anderson, for those of you that do not know me. I work with a company called Landrum & Brown. We're a global aviation consulting firm that's been serving airport clients for over 70 years. Our practice includes both planning and development of airports, as well as airfield, airspace, business and finance, commercial development, and the environmental side of airports, which is where I work. My company has been involved with O'Hare and helping the city of Chicago with their airports since O'Hare first began commercial service in the 50s. I've been fortunate enough to work with the city of Chicago and their noise programs for almost 15 years now. It's been very rewarding. For me, it's a bit of a unique area of the industry to work in. It's not very typical. It's what I get to be involved in, what we refer to as both inside and outside of the fence topics, meaning that I get to work with both, the Department of Aviation in regards to, how the airport operates, as well as the FAA, the airline stakeholders, and those outside the fence, meaning all the communities around the airport that are affected by the aircraft that fly in and out of O'Hare. It is challenging as my goal is to communicate a very complex topic of the airport environment in a way that hopefully is understood by those outside of the industry, which can be a challenge, but I do find rewarding. This is the first time we're doing this presentation for new members, so I apologize in advance if it's a bit disjointed. But the idea here is to give new members a brief introduction, not only to the ONCC, but the airport as well, just so that you don't drop into your first full commission meeting cold, where we do tend to talk about a lot of technical topics for some of you that may be brand new hearing for the first time. So we want to kind of give you a quick base level knowledge so that you're not completely overwhelmed by this complicated topic. So Maura, I'm assuming, let me make sure I can share my screen.
Should be able to.
Okay.
Let me know if you can't. I have multiple participants selected.
Okay, can we see this?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, so first off, as Maura did give a brief introduction to the ONCC, I do want to talk a little bit more about, the purpose and the history there. But the ONCC was originally established back in 1996 under an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Chicago. The ONCC is the only regional policymaking group that oversees management efforts, noise management efforts around O'Hare International Airport. The committee participates in the planning of noise mitigation projects to be implemented at the airport, oversees an effective and impartial noise monitoring system, and advises the city on O'Hare related noise issues. The committee is comprised of representatives of communities located all around O'Hare. We've been getting members pretty far out. That map kind of gives you an indication of, at such a large urban environment that O'Hare, Chicago is, the Chicago metropolitan area is, with the O'Hare International Airport being a large hub airport. You can see how far out aircraft's overflights do impact. And so the ONCC has grown since its founding to now. I think we're close to 62 members, or maybe more at this point, including 35 cities, both Cook and DuPage counties, 19 school districts, as well as 6 Chicago wards. The committee is really recognized in the industry. It's one of the older noise committees when dealing with airport noise and airport relations. And the FAA and other industry organizations consistently point to this group as the gold standard template for how airports and communities can work cooperatively together on aircraft noise related issues. So we're going to talk about a lot about the different areas of the city's noise programs and how the ONCC is involved with those noise programs, as well as give some background on the airport itself, the operations, and noise-related issues. So first off, the ONCC committees and process. There are currently, as Maura mentioned, 5 standing committees and 4 ad hoc committees. You've got the executive committee, the Fly Quiet committee, the residential committee, the school committee, technical committee, and the ad hoc committees, which include, right now, there's a budget committee, governance, nominating committee, as well as the new, excuse me, daytime committee that was formed and just started meeting this year, being chaired by Ernie Kossauer of Park Ridge. And that committee is brand new and will be looking at topics specific to daytime operations at O'Hare. So that is something this group has not really delved into. Most of the topics have been focused on nighttime operations. So this will be something interesting and new for the committee to explore. The full commission is very active. You, as Maura just talked about, the calendar meets pretty regularly, almost monthly throughout the year. Each subcommittee provides reports on the progress of their various scopes and make recommendations to the city of Chicago regarding noise reduction programs, such as the Fly Quiet program, the sound insulation program, and the city's airport noise management system programs. At the monthly meetings, we review monthly airport noise management system reports.
Let's go over there. Let's go over there.
And the committees also regularly have special guests invited to discuss with the community representatives on topics in the industry, such as the FAA, special updates from the Department of Aviation, whether it be construction or other things that are going on at the airport, airlines, or even groups from other airports or aircraft manufacturers that come and talk about their latest technology. And this is something very unique to this group. This is not typical in the industry when it comes to roundtables or community groups that work with airports on noise issues. The ONCC is really very special in their size, their role with the airport, and their ability to bring in leaders from all across the industry to come and provide information and discuss these topics. So, you know, when I travel to other airports or deal with, go to conferences and discuss, you know, with my colleagues at other companies that assist with this issue, the ONCC is always looked at as really the epitome of, you know, kind of what all these groups really strive for, because they do really have the ability to bring in a real vast amount of information and knowledge to the membership. The executive committee, just to clarify, we're going to go through all these committees and what their roles are, but the executive committee does review the budget, submits policy issues for the consideration of the full commission. The chair of the commission is, which is Joe Annunzio. He's the current chair of the ONCC, is the chair of the executive committee. And each of the committee's chairs are also members of the executive committee. The executive committee always meets and sets the agenda for the upcoming full commission meetings and brings any special topics that they want to discuss. All right, before we delve into, before I move on, and really the role of the CDA is to provide as much information that the ONCC is looking for and to adopt any policies or recommendations that the ONCC does come up with as far as their noise management programs. So before we move into some of the committees, I do want to give a background of O'Hare. As some of you may be new members, we have over the last 15, 16, 17 years now, actually, it's 2022. Since 2005, we've been undergoing a massive airfield construction program called the O'Hare Modernization Program, which the goal was to realign the runways at O'Hare. In the left image, you'll see the original 2005 airfield, which consisted of a set of dual parallel runways, which were very inefficient. And highlighted there on the north airfield is that original triangular airfield that was created back in World War II, which looks like a tangled knot at this point and really is not conducive to efficient, safe operations at a modern airport. And so the goal really was to realign the runways at O'Hare to address those limitations, as well as make the airport more efficient with the weather in Chicago. As most of you know, O'Hare has been one of the busiest airports in the world. And when it does experience weather delays, that affects the entire national airspace system. There's so much interconnectivity at O'Hare that the entire system grinds to a halt if O'Hare grinds to a halt. So really the OMP, as we called it, was to fix that kind of knot on the north airfield, as well as improve the performance in all weather conditions. And so we now have a modern 6 parallel runway system, which allows for independent arrivals in most weather conditions. And so this really sets the stage for O'Hare to regain its role as a leading global hub airport in the world. So now that we have realigned our runways, just a brief description of how the airport currently operates, specifically during daytime, when daytime is really the peak demand or the peak level of operations at the airport. Wind is the key factor that influences runway use and operation. Aircraft performance requirements make it necessary for them to take off and land into the wind for safety purposes. Ideally, aircraft should take off and land into the wind so that increased airflow over the wings provides improved lift. And so the airport is designed to operate in the best configurations for the wind conditions. And so in Chicago, we have really predominant winds out of the east or the west, and therefore the airport operates predominantly in two primary configurations that we call west flow and east flow. West flow is when the winds are coming out of the west, and east flow is when winds are coming out of the east. And the diagram you'll see on your screen here shows the runways that are used primarily for departures or arrivals in both of those flows. Now, it's important to note that the FAA decides which runways get used for arrivals and departures, and how those runways are used. But typically, this is unless there's some closure due to construction, or like we have a snow event this morning, this is typically how the airfield is meant to operate in the most efficient manner. Now we have two kind of 101s that we do with committee members, Airport 101 and Noise 101. Airport 101, that presentation is out there for you to look at, but that's something when I do give that presentation, I encourage you to participate in. We get into a lot more detail as to these runway names, why they're named the way they are, and a lot more information on how the airport is designed and operates. And then we also talk about Noise 101, and this next slide here, I'm pulling from that because I want to introduce a term to all of you that is a term that we commonly use when we are discussing aircraft noise, and that is the day-night average sound level, or DNL. It is a metric we use to describe aircraft noise. It is a 24-hour time average sound exposure level with a penalty for nighttime. I'm not going to go into full detail exactly what it is, but this is really the Noise 101 presentation if you're more interested. But the important thing to take away here is DNL is the metric that we are required to use in the airport world when we're describing noise exposure. All federal agencies have adopted the DNL metric as the metric of choice for noise analysis. So anytime we're describing noise impacts, we use the DNL metric. And with that metric, the FAA has established the 65 decibel DNL as the threshold for significant impacts. And when I say significant, the FAA considers that to mean that any action that the FAA or the airport may take that would change the operations significantly at the airport that results in a significant change in noise could translate into sound insulation for homeowners. And so we'll talk a little bit more about sound insulation and the noise contour. But with this DNL metric and that DNL 65 DNL contour line, that they're really, it doesn't mean that people outside of this contour, outside of that significant impact area, aren't impacted by noise. They definitely are. Unfortunately, we have to draw a line with the FAA where we delineate what they consider to be significant impacts so that we can get federal money to provide sound insulation for homeowners. So that 65 DNL contour, is this nebulous line that gets drawn around the airport, which annualizes the aircraft noise exposure over a period of time. And this diagram here, the purpose is to show you just the changes over the decades with noise impacts surrounding O'Hare. That 65 contour has shrunk in size consistently since the late 70s. And mainly that is due to the change in the types of aircraft that operate O'Hare. One of the big things that really improved aircraft noise impacts is the requirement of phasing out of older, louder aircraft, and especially in the 70s and 80s, those that are old enough to remember or live near the airport, some of the types of aircraft that operated at O'Hare were extremely loud, and the Airport Noise and Capacity Act helped to force the airlines to retire those and replace them with more quieter aircraft. And so you'll see those lines get significantly reduced to that OMP, what we refer to as the OMP build-out noise contour. So we've had, again, significant changes at O'Hare since, actually, I think this slide is out of order, but that's okay. We've had significant changes at O'Hare since we developed that OMP and finished the OMP modernization program. We've built all this whole new runway system with the east-west parallel configuration. The original Fly Quiet program that the Department of Aviation and the O'Hare Noise Compatibility Commission came up with and implemented was based on that old airfield before OMP was built and completed. And so there's been a lot of changes since 1997, whether it be the airfield itself or aircraft technology, air traffic technology. And so the time has really come to redevelop that Fly Quiet program. And this is where the Fly Quiet Committee comes in. So the existing program is 25 years old and is desperate need of redevelopment. It's sorely out of date, and I use the term broken. It just doesn't work with the current airfield. And so the ONCC created a new permanent committee, the Fly Quiet Committee, charged with the goal of developing a new program that will minimize and ideally equally distribute aircraft noise during the overnight hours. The committee has been evaluating ways to modify the Fly Quiet program and come up with a new program that they will recommend to the CDA based on ONCC consensus. The committee was founded in 2015, and over the last several years, they've made a lot of progress and significant development. They oversaw 3 Fly Quiet tests where the city and the FAA had a temporary program, what we refer to as the runway rotation program or the interim Fly Quiet program. It was very successful. The aim was to provide a better balance of operations at night over the communities around O'Hare.
Good. How are you?
Lena, can you please mute? Thank you. The IFQ, while it was temporary, it was a test to see if the airport could function well enough while we rotated runways. And it did bring predictable relief to the communities, and it was very successful. And so those tests are now being used to develop a permanent program, which we are hopefully finishing soon. And the current Fly Quiet Committee will be hopefully soon presenting a recommendation to the full ONCC for consideration. With the ONCC wishes to reach consensus on the preferred program, they will submit to the CDA for their consideration, and the CDA will submit that to the FAA for their review and approval. The FAA is required under the National Environmental Policy Act to review and analyze the proposal and disclose any potential environmental impacts associated with the new program. And so the FAA will do a very robust review and analysis of the program and disclose the findings. The next topic I want to talk about is the O'Hare Residential Sound Insulation Program. This is one of the most aggressive programs in the world and has provided over $344 million in federal and airport funds to sound insulate over 11,500 homes. Began back in 1995 as a demonstration program with 10 homes, and we're over almost close to 12,000 homes at this point right now with O'Hare. The ONCC Residential Sound Insulation Subcommittee was formed to provide input and oversight to the program. The program is designed to reduce the effects of aircraft noise inside the home to achieve a much quieter environment and better quality of life within the homes of those people that live in the most high impacted areas affected by aircraft noise. The homes received acoustical windows and doors, which greatly attenuate the noise inside the home and help to create a much quieter environment for those people that do live close to the airport. Since 1995, the program has provided millions of dollars in federal and airport funds. When the FAA issued the record of decision for the O'Hare Modernization Program, it identified what we refer to as that O'Hare Modernization Program 65 DNL contour as the noise contour to be used for sound insulation purposes. So that contour is really the line that delineates those homes that are able to be eligible for sound insulation. And there are also additional eligibility criteria as established by the CDA in collaboration with the ONCC Residential Sound Insulation Program committee. The committee is currently chaired by Ralph Sorcy of Melrose Park and vice chaired by Brian Gasor of Norwich. But a very successful program, one of the biggest programs in the world. Most other airports don't even come close to the amount of homes or the money spent as O'Hare does on sound insulation. Another very successful program has been the school sound insulation program, which began back in 1982. And it serves to sound insulate schools in the communities around O'Hare. It is one of the largest and oldest programs in the world. It's provided over $350 million in federal funds and airport funds to sound insulate 124 schools to date. The School Sound Insulation Committee was formed to provide input and oversight to the program, where they've guided the development of the criteria used to select schools to be included for the program. This program is why there are a large number of ONCC members that are representatives of school districts, because we really need guidance and help with the school district administrators to coordinate not only with selecting the schools to be included, but as well as once schools are identified as potentially eligible, there's a lot of testing that needs to be done to determine what areas of the school need sound insulation. So again, another very long-standing, very successful program as well as committee that has really stands out in the industry. Again, no other airport comes close to the amount of schools and money spent in sound insulation. It has been a very successful program. Some of the schools have received significant amount of construction improvements and attenuation so that children are able to be in an environment where they don't have to be distracted by aircraft noise flying overhead. The committee is chaired by Dr. Raymond Cooper, who's one of the original members of the ONCC, and vice chaired by Dr. Jennifer Kelso. Now I want to talk about the O'Hare's airport noise management system. The airport noise management system at O'Hare is a comprehensive system to provide actual measurements of aircraft noise levels in the communities, all the communities around O'Hare. The integrated system includes a number of components, including a network of what we have for, 40 permanent noise monitors currently. You'll see on the map, those are all those red dots. We actually have 3 more that we're working on. Those are those blue dots. So we'll be soon to be 43 permanent noise monitors around O'Hare. This is more than any other airport in the country. Those monitors provide real-time active aircraft noise measurements. The system also ties directly into the FAA's air traffic control radar data so that they are able to track not only the flights, but also the sound created by those aircraft. There's more than 5 million data points that get into the system on a daily basis. It's a very robust system, and we use this data to generate our monthly reports that the Department of Aviation reports to the full commission so that the city and the department and the ONCC can track aircraft noise levels around the airport and use the data to improve the noise programs. We also have a portable noise monitor program. The CDA has a stable of portable noise monitors that they are willing to deploy to homeowners at no cost. The portable noise monitor is deployed at homes, whoever wants to request one for a 2-week period to give a snapshot of the operations and noise impacts that occurred at their home during that time. The reports are very comprehensive. A lot of information is provided, and we found this to be very useful for homeowners to get a better idea of the types of operations that they're affected by and what the actual noise levels are that are being generated by the aircraft flying over their communities. We also are happy to provide portable monitors to municipalities as well if they would have certain areas where they're getting a lot of noise complaints and they want to get more information as to what is causing those complaints. The Department of Aviation is happy to provide temporary noise monitors to get more data. And so that brings me to the technical committee of the ONCC. This committee is where a lot of the real work gets done. We get into much more detail on the airport operations and noise abatement programs. The committee tracks adherence to the current Flight Quiet program. Eventually, when we have the new Flight Quiet program, this committee will be tracking adherence and doing outreach. They oversee the airport noise management system that I just described. They are currently working on developing a Flight Quiet Award program aimed at improving compliance with the Flight Quiet program. We review and discuss short-term residential and municipal noise monitors that I just described, and identify and promote technological advances, whether it be engine or air traffic control, that are designed to reduce aircraft noise. We also review the quarterly Flight Quiet airport noise management system reports. So a lot of active work in this committee. The members of this committee tend to be the most affluent when it comes to a lot of the technical issues and understanding of airport operations. It's currently chaired by Evan Summers of Bensonville and vice chaired by Dennis Ryan of River Grove. This next slide, I wanted to briefly just kind of describe the roles and responsibilities of some of the stakeholders when it comes to airport operations. And so when we talk about airport operations and who's responsible for what, sometimes communities get a little bit confused because we're constantly pointing fingers at one another, whether it be an airline, the airport, or the FAA. So I just kind of want to give a little bit of overview of who's really responsible for what. The FAA is the federal agency in charge of airspace, and they have sole jurisdiction and responsibility for flight paths. The FAA sets flight safety standards. They decide how the best way for runways to get used. They decide what is the safest way for aircraft to climb and descent out of airports, for which way the flight tracks, what direction they're taking, how the airspace gets used overhead, as well as how the aircraft move around on the airfield. Their job is to really keep everyone safe and make sure all the aircraft are doing what they're supposed to. The airlines are responsible for, making sure their aircraft are meet standards, their training for their pilots meet standards, deciding which runways they need to use based on their origin and destination and their the weight of the aircraft, how best to use those flight profiles based on performance of the aircraft, as well as flight tracks. And ultimately, the pilot in command of each aircraft has the sole decision of how that aircraft operates. The FAA sets the stage for what should be the safest, but ultimately it comes down to that pilot in command of that aircraft to decide, and because he is the one flying the plane, he or she is the one flying the plane, so they are the ultimate decision maker in what needs to be the safest procedure at the time. There are also the airlines, when we talk about ground run-ups, I didn't mention that in reference to the technical committee, but there are run-ups done at the airport to test engines, which create a lot of noise. Airlines are responsible for how they do those run-ups, but when it comes to the airport, that's an area of responsibility where the airport can dictate where those run-ups occur and when. The airport is really the landlord. They are responsible for the airfield, making sure that the pavement is safe, that the airfield is, all the lights are working properly, that the runways are clear of snow. If they have to do any maintenance, closing runways or opening them, if there's anything wrong, or if there is some issue that needs to be addressed. They can decide if there's any use restrictions when it comes to the runways. Land use mitigation, making sure areas around the airport do not get used in a that would be against the purpose of aviation, and also as well as the ground run-up procedures, like I mentioned, where those run-ups occur and what time of day they may occur. So that's something, just kind of a base of knowledge of those kind of three big stakeholders when it comes to airport operations, the roles and responsibilities. And this is something I think we can get into much more detail in the subcommittee level, as the technical committee and daytime committees when we discuss different areas of operations. One more thing, I kind of threw this kind of wildcard slide in. For new members, one of the things that I've experienced when it comes to communities around the airport, especially if there's a new runway that opened or if there's an airspace change, one of the common complaints that we always get is that the assumption that aircraft are flying lower. There's been some change, and now aircraft are flying much lower to the ground. And in my experience, and especially at O'Hare, we have a vast fleet at O'Hare that operates at this airport. Aircraft from the smallest types of airplanes that fly in and out of airports to the absolute largest airplanes that fly in and out of airports. And so my experience, what happens is it's more of a misconception, kind of a trick of the eye, rather than actual aircraft flying lower. Because when it comes to safety, aircraft flying lower is a big deal. We've talked about this at the technical committee as well as Fly Quiet committee. There is a very specific way that aircraft are to approach airports and specific heights. And if planes are deviating from that, it is a big deal. There's a lot of alarms that go off. It is not something that happens by any sense of the term frequently. And so the point of this slide is to show that from a layperson's perspective, and if I'm on the ground and I'm not really familiar with different types of airplanes or how they operate, these three airplanes from the ground could look like the same type of aircraft, but at different heights, when actually they are three very different airplanes with very different sizes. So all these three are to scale, and you can see on the left, the Boeing 777 is a very large aircraft, but its silhouette looks the same as if you look all the way to the right, an Embraer 170. It's got two engines, the wing, the fuselage, everything from a layperson's perspective may look like an aircraft of the same size. But if the Boeing 777 on the left flies over to land and then is followed by the Boeing or the Embraer 170, you may think that Embraer 170 is much higher than that Boeing 777 that just flew over, given the impression that aircraft are flying much lower than you think they should. So just some information if you do talk to your constituents and they do make this comment, this is some information that I found helpful. And speaking of information, I do want to talk about a lot of the resources that we have available, especially on our websites. On the CDA's O'Hare Noise Management websites, we have put a ton of information on there on all these topics, whether it be Airport Operations 101, Noise 101, what is the 65 DNL, what is that metric? We have all of our historic airport noise management system reports, information on the sound insulation programs. We've developed really nice fact sheets on all of our programs. We also have a flight tracker, which I want to pull up and show you how to use that, as well as a online noise complaint entry form. So your constituents, if they are experiencing aircraft noise, they can. This is where they can go to file noise complaints, which we do track and report back to this commission on a monthly basis. We also have the FAA's website where they get information on the airport development and the history of the environmental analysis that was done for the O'Hare Modernization Program. So with that, and Maura, I'll defer to you. Would you like me to pause here for any questions before I show the flight tracker?
Go ahead and show the flight tracker and then we can see if there's questions. Are you open to taking questions, or would you rather people email them and we can respond?
I don't know where we are at time, but I'm open to taking. I guess we only have a few minutes here. So I guess, yeah, if you do have any questions, feel free to shoot those to Maura, and I'm happy to, one, provide you with any further information you're looking for, or two, we always put this out, whether it be on any of our committees, technical committee, flight quiet committee. If any member would like some more one-on-one time with the Department of Aviation or myself to learn more about these programs, we're more than happy to make time and meet with you and go over any of the things that we talked about today. So let me pull up the website. Okay, so this is the Department of Aviation's website at flychicago.com. As I mentioned, they have a lot of information posted here on all these topics that I briefly went over today, including a flight tracker, which I think is pretty cool and very useful. The flight tracker is basically a live replay. Well, not exactly that, there's a bit of a delay, but a relatively live replay of the operations at the airport. So if you are a constituent or yourself, you had an aircraft maybe that flew over, you want to know what it was, you can pull this up, and you're able to not only look at what the air traffic is doing at O'Hare presently, but you can also, if you see over here at your left, you can do a replay, and you can go back several weeks if you want and replay any point in time.
Brian, sorry, it's still on the CDA
Oh.
website.
Can you see this now?
Yes, now I can see it.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that. This is the flight tracker. And so this is showing current operations at the airport. Red aircraft are arrivals, green aircraft are departures. As I mentioned, if you want to go back and let's say you were woken up overnight by an aircraft, you noted the time at 3 a.m. the next day, you want to see what that was, you can go back to replay. You can set any time or date you want to do and replay the operations. If you click on the aircraft itself, it'll tell you who's operating that aircraft, the type of aircraft. This one is, we use 3-letter identifiers for our airports. This one just took off from O'Hare and is heading to San Francisco. It also gives you the altitude, where it is over the ground. So a lot of information that you can get, even if your constituent mentions they were woken up by an airplane, you can help them find more information about it. So I think this is a useful tool to help learn more about the operations at the airport, as well as find more information about aircraft that may have flown over your home. Okay, Maura, with that, looks like we're almost to 11. Happy to touch on anything else briefly, but like I said, any questions or if there's areas you'd like to learn more about, you please send those to Maura, and we're happy to get you information or spend more time with you. And welcome to this group. I hope that you find participating in this commission worthwhile, and that you learn, you find learning about this topic interesting, and because I do enjoy working with this committee and this commission and discussing these topics. I've been always very impressed everyone's ability to absorb this really complex topic. And so I continue to enjoy working with this group.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And I really appreciate your time today and putting this presentation together. And Ryan's such a wonderful resource. We're so fortunate to have him part of the commission. So thank you. With that, does anyone have any just real brief questions, please? I put my email in the chat, and I'll be sending out the presentations to everyone with all the links and other information there. So yes, Frank?
Yeah, if for point of clarification, Ryan, is that flight tracker, the altitudes above ground or above sea level?
I believe those are above sea level.
Oh,
So-
okay, because I thought I heard you say above ground.
I may have misspoken. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the presentation.
Yes.
Anybody else right now? Okay, all right. Well, that concludes our presentation for today.
Thank you, Maura.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right,
Maura.
everybody,
Very
have a
good.
great day. Thank you.
Wish I had this a year and a half ago.
Sorry, Frank.
That's okay. Great presentation. Good public
Thank you.
service. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yep. Have a great weekend. Thanks, everybody.
Stay warm.